And a happy day to you. What it is, it's Wednesday already. I can't believe how fast the time is flying. So it's Tishy and me, and she was here like 5 minutes early waiting when we were going to go on. And she got really fussy, so I don't expect she's going to stay with us very long. I think she had her moment. So say hi to everybody, Tishy. Look at that beautiful kitty. You ever see anything so beautiful? She's the most beautiful kitty in the world. That's my girl. And 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 10 o'clock at night, she generally is here to start the video with me. If not, she visits during the day. She may go off and howl for a while at the birdies on cat TV, or the squirrels, or the mice, whatever is on. But she does love her some cat TV. Well, welcome to Life on the Light Side. And if you've never joined us, I invite you to come on in, have a seat, get yourself a little something to sip, and lighten up no matter what's going on. Turn off that TV, and all the stuff that's on. We've had some challenging times. This is our time for us, our time to look at the light side, no matter what the dark side is saying. And there she goes. So we're going to start off with our National Day calendar today. And it is Umbrella Day. So here's a little bit of totally unnecessary, useless trivia that maybe you can show your friends how smart you are or your family. Um, Umbrellas have been around for over 4,000 years. Can you believe that? Yep. And the Chinese were the first ones to make umbrellas waterproof. And they did it with wax and lacquer. And as you know, umbrellas are not just for bad weather, they're for good weather as well. Very interesting to know that the first umbrella shop opened in 1830 in London, England, and is still open, operating at the same hours. Can you imagine how long? It's almost 200 years old. I think that's real exciting. Okay, and then we move to cream cheese brownie day. Well, for reasons I will share with you in a minute, haven't made any, but got the recipe ready to go. I'm thinking cream cheese brownies, and I did read that they can freeze, so I can have a couple to enjoy and put some in the freezer to enjoy all those busy days when the campground's open and we work like 12, 14 hours a day. Oh, and there's nothing like those busy, stressed out days when you reach in and grab a homemade treat from the freezer, thaw it out, and have a little afternoon coffee break. All right. And then it is home warranty day today. Now, I had to look that up because I'd never heard of it. Well, what it's about is making sure you have warranties on all your home's major appliances, like stoves and refrigerators and dryers and that kind of thing. Because did you ever notice one thing goes, then the next thing goes, and if you have those warranties, extended warranties, it's a lot easier and cheaper to get the things fixed. Too often we are penny wise and pound foolish. We say, oh God, I can't afford that insurance. Well, can you afford to replace the item? Same thing is true of insurance for glasses, for dental, um, for health. A lot of folks, a surprising amount, like 28% of the United States, the people do not, excuse me, have health insurance, despite the Affordable Care Act. Well, the Affordable Care Act kind of uh, fell out when the requirement to have it was dropped, without the penalty. I've done that before. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm staying on the light side. I just want to tell you, please, please make sure you take care of the little things you pay in advance so you've got something later on when you need it. So that is what Warranty Day is about. And so, why did I not make cream cheese brownies on cream cheese brownie day yet? Yet. Well, remember yesterday I was talking to you about getting things done and how I was had long waits on the phone and everything. Well, that kind of repeated itself, but it's a good thing because some of the things didn't have such a long wait from the time an event happened. Hang on, I just want to turn that up a little bit. There we go. From the time something occurred until the time I got it fixed. It's that same thing, putting it off. Got to work on not putting stuff off. So I got a new pot and I was really excited about it. And I think I told you about it before. This is a story of divine order. So I got a lovely Cuisinart pot. I wanted a small one because the other one I had, I kind of burned out by leaving it, put water on for tea, and then kind of sort of got distracted and the pot got burned and it didn't look good. So I got a new pot and I thought I got the size of the pot I wanted. But when it came, it was too small. But, it is what it is. I got a tea kettle so I wouldn't burn the pot out and, the new pot out. And so I used my pot like 3 times, just boiled water for tea, followed the instructions, which it was a learning experience for me. Don't put your pots on high. How do you like that? Said even boiling water, put it on like number 8, but don't put it on high because it's not good for the pot. I'll be darned. So anyway, I had just used the pot a couple of times and I looked in it and it had these spots all over the bottom and it wasn't all like they were pitted or anything. They were totally smooth, but they looked bad. And I figured I don't know if there's something wrong with this pot. I've never had that happen with a pot before. So I called Cuisinart, hence a little time waiting on hold. And but they're replacing the pot. But here's the deal. They asked me to send them pictures of the pot so they could see what was wrong with it. And I sent it. And then I when I sent the pictures, they messaged me back and they said, "Well, we got the pictures. There's only one problem. We don't have that particular pot anymore. Wonder if it has anything to do with little spots on the bottom of the. You never know. So we have to send you this other one. Well, the one that they're sending me is the perfect size. The other one was a little too small, so I got the pot I really wanted without any extra cost. Will not use the pot with the spots in the bottom because I don't know what that's about, if it's exposing an alloy that's underneath or what. Not doing with that, especially because we know now that aluminum is not a good thing to have for a pot. So that was hold up number 1. And then hold up number 2 was going back to Amazon. I went out yesterday afternoon to get the mail, and I think I told you I hunted, and there was no jerky on the porch, and there was no jerky at the office or on the back porch. It was nothing. So I had to go back to Amazon again and say, nope, I've checked, it's not there. So they are going to send me a new order. But the important thing, the thing that bothered me, as you probably remember from yesterday, is that the message said it was put in the hands of the customer, which it wasn't. So I was glad I complained the day before because, and when I say complain, I didn't do that. And I'm proud of myself. I kept a good attitude, very thankful. So, there's those times every day when we're probably really wanting to give someone a piece of our mind we really can't spare. um, And when we don't, it's a better day for us and a better day for them. It's a way of really taking care of yourself. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, about staying on the light side. Um, I saw this. Oh, and I'm working on my Photoshop. I have to go back to square one, but I'm realizing as I'm going through it, I'm picking stuff up. Whether or not it's going to help me with my current issue to get my book back up on what do you call it? Amazon or not. We'll see. But I'm determined, going to get that book up there one way or the other. Okay, so things about taking care of yourselves. You know, we're not in control, as we kind of talked about yesterday, of everything in our lives, but we are uh, some of the things. The other things are like situational, they're circumstantial, they come from around us. Did you know the word circumstance is from around and stand? So circumstance is what stands around you. I thought that was pretty interesting. Well, I knew that from metaphysics. I learned that in seminary, but in metaphysical interpretation, words are so important. But I want to talk about the cultural issues about getting things done and what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. I found a video. I may or may not have mentioned it to you on. I found it on YouTube, and it's called "How I See the U.S. After Living Abroad for 15 Years." I wish people would travel more, especially once COVID is over. I hope they get a travel bug and go and get to see other parts of the world, to experience their cultures, to meet the people, to get to understand them, because you will be able to, um, first of all, you'll lose that arrogance of thinking America is the best and the only thing in the world. We're a good country. We're full of good people, but there's good people all over the world. And the minute we're thinking, we think that we are, or we have to be the best, better than anybody else, I think we've made a mistake. But it's a 30-minute video. I will put the link to it in the comments section under here, and so that you can see it if you want. Maybe I'll put it in the description or something. And this isn't about someone's being better, someone's being worse. It's just about different ways of living other cultures. And are there things in our own culture that are not doing the best for us? So I just took some notes from it. It's 30 minutes, and I wasn't going to subject you to 30 minutes of notes, but I wanted to share some of the things. She said that once she came back, I don't think the girl's 30 years old. I don't, which would mean she would have spent more than half of her life abroad. She said she went to Europe or something as an exchange student or whatever, and she thought she'd do her piece and get back, and she never came back. 15 years, she never came back. Maybe to visit, but she never came back long term. Um, so she talked about the things that amazed her were the consumerism and materialism of the United States, that in other places people are not so driven for more more stuff, more money, uh that kind of thing. She also said that the other countries are not so socially competitive. Like, I've got to have the best. I got, keeping up with the Joneses thing. She said she was astounded at the big malls and the expensive cost of living in the United States, and every individual item. She was even stunned by the serving sizes that they give you in restaurants, that it was like, you know, and eating, which I've said before, should not be about how much can I eat, but how much is wise to eat. Because I can tell you right now, I can eat a whole lot more than is wise to eat. So it's a real exercise in self-discipline to learn how to eat well and eat healthy. There's more about that in a minute. She talked about everything was had to be bigger and better, bigger and better. And the minute we got this one, we wanted the next one, which was what? Bigger and better. She was overwhelmed by the selection of foods and snacks and the stigma about not using a car. She doesn't have a car. Well, she didn't have a car when she first came back, I guess. And when she lived abroad, she either didn't have a car or had a car and never used it because they bicycle everywhere. Well, that is great for the environment and it's healthier for the individuals. So the biking was a good thing. But when you come back to the United States, if you go everywhere on a bike, someone may erroneously think you are poor, not that it should matter. She said that's another thing. She said there's no status concern in a lot of other countries, that just people are people, and you wouldn't know how much money someone had if they were sitting next to you in a restaurant or a park or whatever, and people just weren't caring that much about status. She said she was stunned when she came back about the, and you fall into it. Even if you think, first you go like, oh, that's too much. Next thing you know, you buy into it. Because she talked about dressing flashier when she came back. She was very simple in, the way that she lived for 15 years. But then she said she became a product of the environment. She wanted to have fancier, flashier clothes. She wanted to have more shoes. She said she had to learn to walk around in heels again after years of not wearing them. And she said the inundating flood of advertising, that it's everywhere. You can't turn your head and not see a billboard and stuff like that. She was shocked by watching television and seeing the number of ads for pharmaceuticals. I mean, that bothers me. I go like, gosh, I don't want to be thinking sick all the time. And I always wondered, the doctors should be telling us what we need to take. We shouldn't be going to the doctors and saying, well, shouldn't I take this? We have to be wise consumers, even if what we're consuming is medication. But we shouldn't be. A lot of times they didn't you even tell you what ads about medicines were for. You'd listen, you go, I wonder if that's, and then you listen to the side effects. No, I mean, the side effects are terrifying. She said they had so many, and they have billboards for hospitals and emergency rooms. And she said, why would you need an ad for an emergency room? You go to the emergency room because it's an emergency, and you go to the closest uh, hospital. She said that she was stunned with the amount of stuff people had, including dryers. She said in most of the other countries, people don't own clothes dryers. They hang their clothes out. And you can see all the different things that minimizes your electric bill. Um, you know, okay, she talked about a couple who from the States who moved to Costa Rica, and they said they wanted to simplify, and they got, because it's less expensive, they got this beautiful um, beachside property. And then she said they invited her back a few months later to see that they were all settled in. And when she went back, they had built a 3-story house and filled it. A lot of the stuff they brought from back home and paid a fortune to have it shipped. So their simplicity was really gone. That was something internal. They didn't, and they made it external. That's that thing about the thoughts you hold in your mind and your consciousness you create. So they went away to get simplicity, but they never changed their minds about what simplicity is. That's interesting, isn't it? Um, and she said everywhere she lived, and she's lived all over the world, she said, the United States is the only country that had no national health care program. The only country that didn't have health care for all its people. And she said, that doesn't mean you don't pay anything, but because of the way the healthcare is set up, what you would go if you had to go to the hospital, have an operation or something, it could cost, anywhere between a couple hundred and a couple $1,000. And in the States, it would cost, 30, 40, 60,000. It's a huge, huge difference. That was a big shock to her. And now, of course, she has to pay, I think she said like $360 a month for health insurance alone. A couple of the things that really struck me was she said the pace of life. And if there's one thing our isolation at home hopefully has given us is a slower pace of life. Now, because I'm a type A, I tend to do a lot of stuff during the course of the day, but I'll tell you what, not as much as I used to, not as much running around. And she said that the people in the other countries had a better sense of what really matters, like family, relaxation, memories, uh, gatherings, and those kind of things. She said it is nothing in Europe to have a leisurely afternoon lunch with friends and listen to music or take a nap or siesta, and then go back to your work, but not the hours. She said that we have an American workaholic consciousness. And why do we have an American workaholic consciousness? Because we want more, more, more. We suffer under the demands of the false gods of Mammon, which is materialism, and Baal, which is ego and carnality. So, and the last thing I wanted to say is that she had she also noticed that the worst challenges um, in health and everything in the States, of course, we're stressed because we have so much more stress here, and stress equals disease. And yes, Anna said the USA lost true family values. Well, they did. And because you don't have time to be with the people, you lose how important it is to be with the people. I have to admit, in my own life, I have gone around on that hamster wheel. I was so busy and I just kept telling myself later, later, later. And one day you wake up and it's too late for that. However, excuse me, about 30 years ago when I found unity, I did awaken to much more of what matters most. And over the years, I've tried to improve all that more and more. And the last thing two things I wanted to mention. One is she said that obesity is not an issue in other countries, only in the United States, where we really are spoiled. We are very spoiled, and a lot of that snack food, and the other part is inactivity. And the last thing is, two more things. One was the way we use alcohol in the United States. And I think it's probably more of a younger person thing than a more mature person, although alcoholism is a big challenge. Now, I have a glass of wine every afternoon and with my cheese and crackers, and that's my little relaxation time. And a glass of wine is fine; it's good for your health. Maybe a beer if you're in. But when you start having more than one drink a day, that is not a good thing. It can take you down a bad road. Along with the fact that one of the worst things, and it adds to the obesity, is that alcohol weakens your self discipline. So, where you would have been more disciplined having a meal, if you have a little drink or two, then you're less likely to say, I'm going to, no, I'm done. It's easier to say I'm done when you're absolutely, and whether someone chooses to drink or not to drink, that is a choice, but it's not a matter of whether or not you drink. It's whether or not you abuse alcohol. And the last one was what I wanted to talk about with the groceries and everything. And she said that in the United States, we had such an amazing array of just about anything we wanted. But she said the quality of food is not that good. One of the things is that a lot of items they're force grown. They are they're fertilized in a way to make them bigger, but they lose their flavor. And in Europe, you generally eat what is in season. And eating what is naturally in season, um, it tastes better. I'm going to challenge you. It's too early now, but try to think about this come June and July, when the strawberries are out, and try to find a farmer's market where you can go and buy fresh local strawberries. And you're going to find they tend to be a little bit smaller. Maybe it appears they have a few more seeds, but when you have those smaller, everything doesn't have to be big and bigger and better. You will find that those smaller strawberries are so much more succulent. And if you try to, it also stays it's better on your budget when you buy what's in season. So sometimes having a lot is good, it's abundance, and sometimes it's overkill. So I just thought that was fun. So just in case you found any of that heavy, I was not picking on the United States. I was explaining that we have great opportunities to grow, not by getting more, but by enjoying less. Smaller sometimes is better. I'd rather have some handmade decor items that mean something to me in my home than a storage shed full of stuff that I thought was cool at the moment. If you don't think we've got too much, drive around and look at those storage, sheds they've got everywhere, the warehouses where you can go and self-store. I happen to love to watch the show Storage Wars, and where they show what was in those, and there are things that people put in the storage locker, and either they could never afford to pick them up, or maybe they died, or maybe they just left them for so long they forgot about them. I had stuff in storage for 2 years when I was at seminary, but it was just waiting for me to get out and find a place of my own. So I didn't want to cart everything and cart it and cart it. So that was all right. So I wanted to enjoy today a few jokes because we should have a few jokes to be on the light side, right? So I looked some up and I wanted to see the best funny stories because there are so many that are just um, puns, and puns are funny, but how many puns can you do? So this is a story about a trucker. A trucker came into a truck stop cafe and placed his order. He said, I want 3 flat tires, a pair of headlights, and a pair of running boards. Well, the brand new waitress, not wanting to appear stupid, went to the kitchen and said to the cook, this guy out there just ordered 3 flat tires, a pair of headlights, and a pair of running boards. What does he think this place is? An auto shop? And the cook laughed. He said, no, he means the three flat tires are three pancakes, a pair of headlights is two eggs, sunny side up, and running boards are two slices of crisp bacon. Oh, okay, she said. She thought about it for a minute and she went and spooned up a bowl of beans and gave it to the customer. The trucker said, what are the beans for? I didn't order any beans. And she said, well, I thought while you were waiting for the flat tires, headlights, and running board, you might as well get gas. I love that one. I think that's so funny. Okay. I like this one too. A band director was having a lot of trouble with his drummers. He talked and talked with the drummer with one of his drummers, I'm sorry. He talked and talked with the drummer about his performance, but it didn't improve. Finally, in front of a whole orchestra, he said, when a musician can't handle his instrument and doesn't improve when given help, they take away the instrument and give him two sticks and make him a drummer. A whisper was heard from the percussion section, and if he can't handle even that, they take away one of his sticks and make him a conductor. I love to see when arrogance arrogance gets called on its own. This is the last one. A man scolded his son for being so unruly, and the child rebelled against his father. He got some of his clothes, his teddy bear, his piggy bank, and proudly announced, I am running away from home. The father calmly decided to look at the matter logically. What if you get hungry? He asked. Then I'll come home and eat, the boy bravely declared. And what if you run out of money? Asked the father. I will come home and get some, replied the child. The man then made a final attempt. What if your clothes get dirty? Then I'll come home and let mommy wash them, he replied. The man shook his head and exclaimed, this kid's not running away from home. He's just going to college. Well, I hope you like those. Oh, I gotta find you again. I seem to have lost you. Oh, there we are. Okay. Yeah, I thought those were cute little jokes. At one point in my life, I had not only Sammy with me, but my uh, grandson Marky as well. And one day he got mad at me and he said, I am running away from home. And I said, fine, you go right ahead. And so he stormed out of the house. He was about 5. And we lived in this little tiny neighborhood in Buckrow Beach in Virginia. And so he walked to the corner and he turned the corner. He started walking down. Now he doesn't know it, but I've got a lookout on him every minute. I'm watching him go out the door and I'm watching him go down the street. And I wouldn't have let him go far, but within a few minutes he came back. But sometimes you gotta let them think about what am I gonna do now? Because you can't just always give in to them as much as you love them. And that's why sometimes we want things and God doesn't give them to us because sometimes our Father knows best. Well, you have a great afternoon. I'm going to have my little afternoon snack and I think I may take a nap. And some of you, I will see at 10 o'clock tonight for Rise of the False Gods. And anyone else, I'll see you tomorrow. Good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Be good.